with full strength. We've got Stephen, we've got Ted. Somewhere around here we have Raleigh the super dog. He had a very good meal tonight. He actually had some steak tonight. He was extraordinarily happy. He's a very good dog, and we are very lucky to have him. So, well, we'll show you him toward the end of the show.
Yes.
So we did already light our candles. Ted tonight did it, and Ted, for the first time of lighting candles, I have to commend you on how you did it. You did it very respectfully. You did it very well. Thank you. It's not easy. Those candles are not, they're little tiny ones, and they're already down kind of low. Look how fast they go down, Ted. I guess that's for safety's sake. But they're all going. Tonight you have to have 5 candles and the shamash candle. Now the shamash candle is when you light the others with, so you can't count that. It's the first one, very first night. You light that one, and then you light the first one, and you light the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one, and the fifth one. 6, 7, 8. To remember what happened with the Maccabees when they liberated the temple from the pagans, and the pagans had defiled the temple, and they purified it with the holy oil. But as they began their ceremony of purification, they realized they didn't have enough holy oil, but they just trusted in God.
That's right.
And God brought them the holy oil, just like God brought them vindication and victory over the Greek Seleucids and the Romans.
Well, Mayor, we're gonna move up. We have a very special guest who's joining us, a longtime friend of yours, and he's here to talk to us about the unfortunate rise in anti-Semitism, but also maybe he can tell us a little bit more about the Hanukkah tradition, how to properly light these candles. We have now joining us Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
Oh.
And we are moving up we got him here.
Oh, Rabbi Potasnik, my good friend.
Let me, first of all, thank you. Thank you for trying to explain Hanukkah, because I envy you Christians. You have one spelling for Christmas. Ever see Hanukkah being spelled? I've seen 4 or 5 variations on the
CH, 2 N's, 1 K, 2 K's,
2 K's.
Hachuka.
Right.
Hachuka.
But
you remember, Rabbi, when I would go up, the first year that I was mayor, I had to light the menorah with the old rabbi who used to light it. Yeah. But he was a madman. He would take this thing, this lift, and it was a really windy night. And we're going up in this lift, and the lift is going like this. Just me and him. I said, Rabbi, these aren't going to stay lit. He said, don't you know the miracle of Hanukkah? Like they're going to stay lit because God's going to keep them lit. I said, well, can we do this quickly? No, we have to do it very slowly.
Let me begin before we get into a discussion. I want to say thank you to you for a number of things, but in particular, years ago, you asked me to serve as chaplain of FDNY.
Yeah, one of the best decisions I made.
It's very good decisions. And it was 25 years ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
I said to you, Mayor, why me? He said, because I've noticed over the years that you have a wonderful relationship with non-Jews. And you know, the FDNY is not predominantly Jewish. So he says, I think it would be a good fit. It was one of the best things I've ever done. And recently they appointed me as chief chaplain. The first time they've had a chief chaplain in the 160-year history of the FDNY. Wouldn't have happened without you. So
no, I love that, but that they really moved. You can't imagine how happy that makes me.
Well, you've made a lot of.
Oh my goodness, that is so good.
We're going to talk about anti-Semitism. When you were mayor, if you displayed publicly threats that dangerous hatred against Jews, there were consequences. I remember when you had Yasser Arafat thrown out of Lincoln Center, right? You wouldn't tolerate. Now, you see, Australia has had a history of anti-Semitism, has had a history of, slandering the Jews. and yet the prime minister did very little. As a matter of fact, you had 1,000 Jews on Bondi Beach. You know how many
Yeah.
police there? Two police, 1,000 people during a dangerous time. That never would have happened under a Giuliani administration.
Oh,
We are grateful to you, but you set a standard that others don't seem to follow. And we're in this very dangerous place today. You know, I remember someone told me years ago, you know why the Holocaust happened? Because you could get away with it. Well, when you were mayor, you couldn't get away with things like this. And now, unfortunately, with some leaders or so-called leaders, you can get away with it.
you know, I was talking to a gentleman who was a very good friend of the rabbi who died, one of the two rabbis who died in Australia, and I said to him, "How close are we? How close are we to reliving what we don't want to relive?" He said, "Well, I don't know if we're moving there, and we should never be moving there because you have to stop it before you start moving there." And now we're moving there. I mean, there's an article in one of the papers today. The Jews are in jeopardy all over the world.
You know, you remember the slaughter of the congregants in Pittsburgh, Tree of Life Synagogue.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Following that horror, the rabbi asked this question. He says, when we said never again, did we put a question mark after that or an exclamation mark after that? And I tell you, for years I thought, look, Australia was a haven for those who were escaping the Holocaust. And look where we are today. So the exclamation mark, unfortunately, has a question mark rather than the exclamation mark. We're in a dangerous place. If you're visibly Jewish, your life is in danger. You saw it in New York City on a subway train.
Tell them.
After Bondi, you had Hasidim, who obviously are Jewish, being attacked on a train. They had to escape the train. The door opened. They ran out. You can get away with it. That's the problem.
Rabbi, I have to say, I know you a long time, right? You're very serious tonight.
Yeah, look.
You know, you happen to, people don't know this, you happen to be a much better stand-up comedian than a rabbi.
Yeah. I'm
only teasing you, because I love you.
Comedy.
Where did I meet you? Where did I meet you, Rabbi? We always tell that story.
Thing. Where does a rabbi and a mayor meet? St. Patrick's Cathedral. There. They wanted there to handle a collection because they said, well, you're better. I was there today because
the new Cardinal. Yeah, the Cardinals leaving. I feel so bad.
By the way, I often hear people say no one's irreplaceable. You know that's not true. There are people you simply cannot replace. Cardinal Dolan is one of those iconic figures. Iconic figures. How does anybody see that individual? Hopefully, the new Archbishop Hicks, who I had a chance to talk to for a few moments, and
he said, "You did. Well, that's good. He's a young man, and hopefully we'll have some of the same gifts." So, Cardinal O'Connor was my good friend, and after starting off with a kind of tough relationship at the beginning, and then we became very close friends. I just love Cardinal O'Connor.
Cardinal O'Connor's, I don't know if you realize this.
He was tough. Woo.
Yeah, tough, but now I'll explain to you why. His mother was Jewish because Cardinal O'Connor's sister did some background ancestry study. Her mother and the Cardinal's mother was a Jew. That means that O'Connor was a Jew.
And that's why he wrote a wonderful book with Koch about Jews and Christians. Might have been the closest we've ever been, religiously. Although I have to say, Cardinal Dolan carried it on quite well.
I remember when O'Connor came out, because I've gone to many of the Christmas masses, and I've sat near you. The Cardinal came out a few minutes before the mass, and he stood up and he looked at Koch. He said, "Mayor, do we have a minion here tonight? Do we have?" Now start the mass.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what our former mayor Koch, where he would be right now with this going on?
You certainly would hear about it. He would take
Oh,
every measure possible. Can you
yeah.
imagine you a mayor now?
Yes.
Where, right? You wouldn't tolerate it.
It'd be over. We'd get it over. We'd find a way to get it over, Rabbi. We'd find a way to get it over. You have to. There's no. It's a hate. This isn't free speech. This is hatred. This is murder. There's hatred that leads to murder that's only been going on for 3,000 years. You know, I mean, you got to be stupid not to realize it.
Metastasizes. You know, it attacks me today, attacks you tomorrow. We're in trouble. We're in serious trouble. So I don't have an answer to it. Someone said,
Uh, no one does really. I would like to say, I would like to say, Rabbi, that one of the things that I think happens is if you look even right now at the number of people that the Muslims are killing, and all throughout history, they've killed many more Christians because there are many more Christians to kill. The percentages are against us, but they really try to hide that. They real like what's going on in Africa. They do everything they can to hide it. They're slaughtering these poor African Christians, both Catholic and Protestant, not just Catholic.
I was talking to a Catholic who has returned from Nigeria. He said it's horrendous. And yet you get occasional reporting, but not consistent reporting. Again, you can get away with it. Look at college campuses today. Didn't we always say education is the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Right now we find that going to school can make you smart, but not necessarily moral. There's no moral education, you know. So, and you get a distorted education. You know, you learn how the West is evil and everyone else is okay. Israel, you know, is an occupier. Everything else is okay. It's black and white. There's no detailed history. It's not informative. And also you have foreign monies coming in to these colleges, you know, who are bankrolling a lot of the courses, a lot of the institutes. I remember when I walked by Columbia one day, I looked at the buildings and I see Jewish names, right? Jewish names. And then you see the kids out there protesting Israel and the Jews, globalize the Intifada. And they're standing in front of buildings that were, you know, really supported by Jewish families, by Jewish people who valued education. What happened? So we're facing very difficult times. Question mark rather than exclamation mark.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to stop. We're not sitting back. And can you give us, if you don't mind, I hate to call upon your gifts as a rabbi, but a nice prayer for Hanukkah, for the fifth night of Hanukkah. Because we have in back of you, I don't know if you know it, we lit the fifth night candle tonight here on my show.
How much time do we have right now?
2 or 3 hours.
Years ago, I don't know if it was Sam Levinson. He was a well-known raconteur, and he was asked to light the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center. And he stood up and he said, I don't know why I, as a Jew, was asked to light this Christmas tree. He said, however, in growing up, I think in Brooklyn, my family was very traditional. They wouldn't put the lights on Friday night or Saturday. There was a non-Jew, and this happened in many neighborhoods that were traditional Jews. There was a non-Jew.
What was there? Was a name for it?
Called it the Shabbos Goy, right?
Shabbos Goy. My uncles were.
I was one.
You should get paid.
Work was steady, but there was no pay. But you know, they would do this, and he said the man would accept no remuneration. So I thought to myself, how can I repay this guy? So tonight, in honor of that great Shabbos Goy, that person I want to light the Christmas tree. And I think that's the blessing. You know, what I've learned over the years, with one candle, you can kindle many others. And you mentioned before the Shamash candle. The Shamash candle is higher than all the others, and its sole purpose is to bring light to all the others. Mayor, You have been a shamash for us because people who bring light to others, they stand a lot higher. May we continue to bring light and love to one another, because when you also have a candle, you can light others and it doesn't diminish your own integrity, your own identity. So we can light for others and we can still be true to ourselves. My father would say to me, I don't care what kind of Jew you are, Joe. Just be proud of the Jew you are. So I'll be a proud Jew. You'll be a proud Catholic. Let others be proud of their tradition. And together we'll light and live in a better world.
God bless you, Rabbi. I hope to see you very, very soon. I miss you. What a great man.
Not as
I saw it the first time I met him.
uh,
I met him at St. Patrick's Cathedral. He was sitting. I don't think I was the mayor yet. I think I was the U.S. attorney at the time. Sure, as the U.S. attorney. So as the U.S. attorney, I'd get an invitation to St. Patrick's, and as a Catholic, I've always wanted to go to the midnight mass. And the first couple of times I couldn't go because my children were too young, and I didn't want to leave. We didn't want to leave them on Christmas Eve. But I do believe that we brought Andrew. I do believe we brought Andrew once when he was like really an infant, and before Caroline might have been born. Well, we used to bring all of them then, eventually, but it had to be around that time that I met the rabbi, and I was sitting there, and I was the U.S. attorney. Not sure I think I had run for mayor and lost, and I was in private law practice, but kind of very famous for all the cases I prosecuted. And he came up to me and said, I've always wanted to meet you, Rudy. I think it's really weird that you and I are meeting in a church. I'm a rabbi and you studied to be a priest, right? And I said, yeah, I did. He said, he did not display it tonight. And I'm going to tell you something. I noticed something about him. I hate to bring this up, but that I noticed about Father Judge on September 11th. I've never seen that man more serious than tonight. He is a natural comedian. He does a radio show once a week on WABC radio. I don't know if he still does it with the minister. He used to do it with a priest, occasionally a priest, occasionally a minister. He is so funny. I don't just mean about religion. I mean, he's just funny. He's one of these people who has a God-given gift for appropriate humor, which he also uses in his, I don't know if you would call what rabbis do sermons, but I imagine they are like sermons, right? And that's why I would love to go listen to him. I mean, you could be Catholic, you could be Jewish, you could be Protestant, whatever. The guy was better than your minister or priest. But he was funny, and I tried to get him, as you can see, to fool around, right? He wasn't, he's very serious, and I think I know why. He is a Jew, and he's got it in the heart. I mean, he knows the danger we're living in, and he's got the feeling that we may have passed a point that we never wanted to pass again in all the learning that we had from the Holocaust. And I have that feeling. I'm not sure of it. I'm not sure if we've gone too far. We may have. We sure didn't listen to the warnings of, strike it out immediately, never again. I know there's a lot of hatreds in the world, and sometimes anti-Semitism, like that Fuentes idiot and some of the others think, well, anti-Semitism is given too much attention. Well, you know why it is? Because it's our seminal prejudice in Western civilization. It's the first prejudice we ever had. And it's the one we can't shake. And it's the one that has existed for the longest time. And when we think we've cured it, it rears its ugly head again. And there is something beyond our understanding about it and about our inadequacies as human beings So, of course, I hate any kind of prejudice against Italians, against Irish, against Catholics, against Protestants, against evangelicals, against Black people, against Hispanic. But you go ahead. I mean, but why do you want to do this? I mean, I was brought up very, very strictly. He created us man and woman. That first chapter of Genesis. It doesn't say he created us black man and black woman, or white man and white woman, or pink man and pink woman. By the way, he didn't say he created us man, woman, and furry either. We got to be just as serious about that, unless we're going to distort and destroy an entire generation of young people. It's real clear. There may be things about this book that are allegorical. There may be things about this book that are poetic. There are. But I'll tell you one thing about this book that's pretty damn clear, and that is there are men and women. Because that's science too. That's where the Bible and science come absolutely together. So we got to stand together against this. We've got to stand together against this, because if you don't know it now, it's going to be too late when you find out. The same people who are coming for the Jewish people are coming for you. Not only are they coming for you, they have come for you. What do you think they did on September 11th? Do you think I'm in a fog about why September 11th happened? Do I look like I'm in a fog about it? I know exactly why it happened. It happened because Muhammad taught them to do that. I hold Muhammad responsible for it. And all these people with George Bush and the CIA, it was Islamic terrorism that attacked us, the cause of Islamic terrorism. The idea that they're going to take over the world. The idea that they are entitled to take over the world. And the idea that we are something that's subhuman, that can be sacrificed for no reason. The way they did on October 7, when they killed babies in front of their mothers. Oh, but they were Jewish. It's okay to do that. Now they want to spread the intifada globally. During his mayoral election, the new disgraceful mayor of New York, he's a disgrace, but he's a disgrace to the people of my city for having elected him, was in favor of a global intifada. I don't consider him extraordinarily intelligent, but I think he's intelligent enough to know that an intifada is violent. I went to Israel when the intifadas were going on, and every time I went to visit dead people and wounded people. Young girls whose faces were destroyed for life because they were Jewish. And because they were living in the land that David lived in 2,000, 3,000 years ago. Oh my goodness, they've got as good a claim on that land as anyone, don't they? At least they wrote about it. Well, the rabbi did make reference to some of the anti-Semitic attacks that took place in New York over the last several days, which has led to several articles, not only in New York, but basically saying it's open season on Jews. And one of them says in the Big Apple, but the other says in America. That should never happen in America. There shouldn't be open season on Jews in America. America is too great a country for that. We're too beautiful, too good, too loving, too Christian and Jewish a country for that.
That's right.
A goon stabbed Jewish Brooklynite Elias Rosner on Tuesday after shouting, "I'm going to kill a Jew." I heard that with my own ears during the Crown Heights pogrom. I heard more than a few. "Let's get a Jew. Let's get a Jew." That stays with you forever. A patron at the Mole Mexican Bar and Grill in the West Village unleashed a verbal assault on a Jewish woman Saturday, yelling, "You ugly effing Zionist. We will rid this country of you effing you by all effing means." This would probably be a product of the New York City school system, educated by the Communist Teachers Union, because their vocabulary is extraordinarily limited. And that effing thing is about the only thing they know. Not that they can spell it. They know how to say it. Right. Then sometimes they use their mother too, right, in that. And Elias, a Jewish New Yorker, described Wednesday how he was stabbed just centimeters from his heart by a hateful sicko who says, "I'm going to kill a Jew today." And then he went back to Crown Heights. Right, there's Crown Heights. That's the place I was at. And I probably told you the story of it, so I won't tell you again. But I was there for the second night of the pogrom, and the guy who accompanied me wasn't sure we were going to get out. I didn't have any security, but I didn't have any problem going in because he told me he had fought in the Israeli army. But then when we were going out, it didn't seem like he remembered much about that. But I remembered a lot about being in Brooklyn. Ukraine. I don't know the inside story of Ukraine, so I don't want to pretend to know it in any way. So all I'm doing is interpreting. Europe is extraordinarily nervous that America is going to give away enough to Russia so that Russia will be empowered by this peace and empowered to move on and take more of Ukraine when things become more amenable to that, which could be after Trump. A bad peace deal leaves Kiev weak and vulnerable. And if Kiev is vulnerable, you know why Europe is really upset about this? Never get too impressed with the European leaders because they're all about themselves. They're not worried about Ukraine. Well, I guess they are, but they're worried about themselves. If Ukraine goes, and if America isn't their solid supporter, and if Trump proves to be more friendly with Putin, now I hope, pray, and believe this is a strategy. And if it is, it's working because they are doing everything they can to take their silly little pacifist countries and trying to get them to be tough. And even Macron is trying that. And boy, that's a heck of a thing. Must be his wife kicking him in the ass. Starmer, socialist. Kirmer, for sure. Kirmer, who I don't like because of a lot of reasons. And maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm right because I don't know him enough. I really should get to know the guy. But Kirmer is okay. I mean, on this, he's breaking his ties with China. He's breaking his ties with Russia. He's going to rebuild the German army. You better watch out. Rebuild the German and Japanese army? Yeah, we can. We can because we're enough in control of it. We're so way ahead, even of China, although they're catching us. but we're still way ahead. Main thing is that alliance has to work seamlessly. If we make that alliance work seamlessly, when I say alliance, here's what I mean. The United States, the EU, the powerful Asian countries, the soon-to-be powerful South American countries, and the much more down the road African countries. They want to be with us. They all want to be with us. We just have to make it possible for them to do that. And that's not easy because, the Russians and the Chinese are doing everything they can to change that. And they also are doing everything they can to infiltrate us. And Biden didn't help us by letting lots of them to come into this country. Ted, I don't know what's going to happen with Minnesota, but there was another SNAP fraud case today. I know the last estimate was 1.5 billion. It's got to be over that now. Right. So SNAP is food stamps. Think of it that way. SNAP is what people need who theoretically are starving unless they're stealing. And, it could be, and please don't think I'm off on this. This is not, I haven't had the time to do like a real analysis. I have had the time to do some extrapolating. I would not at all be uncomfortable with saying about half of it is fraudulent. About half that money to feed poor people is being stolen by people who aren't poor, by Democrats, socialists, and communists who are living like Putin lives, or like Patrice Kaluras, or like Congressman X from a black district retires and he's worth $30 million, and the black district looks like shit. How did that happen?
My friend who owned a liquor store would often say that people would come in and buy soda with the SNAP only to return the deposit and then purchase a small amount of liquor with it.
Yeah. Well, now they can trade it. They can trade it for cash.
Oh, well, that's easy.
And that's what they're doing. That's what they got caught doing. So so this is spreading all throughout the country. So in Boston, for example, today there was the revelation that the investigation in Minnesota, which had reached 1.5 billion, has now gone further. There also were two men that were charged with fraud. We're thinking about Boston and everything, but in Boston, they were reimbursed by SNAP benefits, and they were just purely stealing. They were pretending to be distributing SNAP benefits to impoverished people, and they were stealing them and cashing them in for money to the tune of $500,000 in one single month.
And people want to grow the size of our government for some reason.
And we had four Republicans who voted to extend Obamacare subsidies, of which, again, you would not be out of your mind if you said half of that is stolen. And for completely illegal, ridiculous things that have nothing to do with healthcare.
Yes, well, even the legal uses of it are, I consider it stealing, basically, right? Like, oh, you're not providing any healthcare for us. Why do you get $3 trillion?
Not only that, you're collecting it 3 times.
Exactly.
You're collecting it 3 times. You're collecting it for a non-existent person. You're collecting it for a dead person. All of that's taking money from people who really need it. Right. And the reality is, when you say we want to cut it by 20% or 30%, which is what we're talking about, that's well within the range of, okay, let's get serious and cut out the crooks. Because ultimately, jackasses, you won't be able, there'll come a time in which people just say, forget it. Forget it. This isn't going to help poor people. Look, I wish I had the time to do all the things I wanted to do. Somebody should do a book from the Great Society to now and show, or we even go back to Roosevelt, how they ruined us, how they absolutely ruined us and made us a dependency society.
Exactly.
If we could just go back to where we were, everybody wants to be that way. They really do. You have no idea the capacity that human beings have to be that way if you reach them. I did it with workfare. I can't say I did it personally. It was 400,000 people. But I met with enough of them so I really knew what I was doing. And they would get angry at me. I said, no, you can't get welfare without working. The law says you have to work for 19 hours a week if you want welfare. And if you're a student, you got to work for 12 hours. Students, you're going to let students work? Of course I'm going to let them work. They go to city college, they go for nothing, and they don't even get graded. So how do I know if they're even learning? If they're working, at least I know they're learning the work ethic. And I remember I thought, oh, wow. I always had great confidence in my ability to speak because I was a trial lawyer and I won a lot of trials with summations. But trials are different than political. So I went back to my old high school. I must have had about 800 people there. And I told them, I'm going to make you work even though you're going to college. And they started booing me and yelling at me. And I resorted to the only thing I could think of. I said, 20 years from now, you're going to thank me. My father used to say that to me whenever he was losing an argument with me. Do you know something? 20 years later, he was always right. And so was I. And now, 30 years later, I have people coming up and telling me I was right. The best thing I can give you is the work ethic. I don't care what work it is. No matter what happens to you, no matter the bad fortunes, the good fortunes, if you're willing to work, you're going to be able to take care of yourself. Then if you're willing to work and you can't, people will really want to take care of you. It's different than if you're a bum. Different for you inside, too. And we lost that. And the Democrats have taken that away from us because that's their new slavery. The party of slavery never, Roosevelt and Johnson with the Great Society, in a very subtle way, made them again into the party of slavery. And that's what they're conducting now. That's what they're conducting now. When a black congressman who's been there for 30 years stands there and says, when there's a riot or something, no one's done anything for this neighborhood in 30 years. And the guy's worth 20 million and the neighborhood is starving. What do you think happened? A lot of people did a lot of things for that neighborhood, but it never got there. I can document that for you in Harlem with the black leaders in New York. All of whom, not all of whom, but the major names that you would know were crooks, crooked, dishonest, stealing, not like Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, stealing from the poor and taking it for themselves. So I don't understand the Republicans who voted to extend the Affordable Care Act. It will destroy healthcare. What are they so afraid of? I mean, they're not really even worth being reelected that much.
That's what they're
I mean,
afraid
who
of.
really gives a damn if Brian Fitzgerald, Rob Bresnahan, Ryan McKenzie, and who on the Lawler?
Oh, Lawler, New York.
Who really gives a shit if they're in Congress? I mean, I don't care. They don't do anything.
But they're afraid of losing the messaging.
Yeah, and what they want to do is ruin healthcare.
Right.
So where are we
They're putting
at
their
with
own personal political.
It was voted down, so that doesn't get extended right now, but it creates like a fear that we're very, very close when we come back
Right.
To extending. If we extend the Obamacare credits, we will ruin healthcare. It'll be complete.
I mean, more than it already has been.
Oh
obviously.
yeah.
Well, these guys, this is so telling, right? They're afraid of the messaging. They're likely all in swing districts, and they feel that they need to.
I know the ones in New York
come out against it.
Remember when we tried to have Lawler on the show? He wouldn't come on because I'm a Reagan. He was I'm not Reagan, Trump, a Trump
Yeah.
supporter.
What a loser.
He's a little pussy.
These guys can't stand up to. I mean, and Right. They'd rather just avoid it than and look, it's just so obvious.
I'd love to avoid everyone who doesn't agree with me too, right? Like, but that's not the society that we've chosen to
No.
build.
The way you grow your mind is you talk to people that disagree with you.
Amen.
Or if you don't want to talk, you read their books. You engage yourself in their arguments.
By the way, isn't it
And
more
you find answers? You find answers to them, or you don't, and then you change.
you'd think these guys would want to challenge it if they believe, if they truly believe in what they think.
They only care about getting reelected.
Because I know you,
Oh,
Mayor.
yeah.
I know you, Mayor. You'd almost prefer to go and talk to someone and have a conversation.
Not to get reelected and help America,
Right?
Wouldn't that, to me, that would be better. If I the way I live my life, I would have preferred when I ran for mayor being defeated on what I believed in,
Right.
than winning on bullshit.
That's why we. That's why we.
Bullshit.
Mayor's a little.
That's why we stood with Curtis
If
Sliwa.
I won on bullshit, I would have governed on bullshit.
That's why we stuck with Curtis Sliwa.
Yes, because we got to
recently.
develop a party. I didn't honestly think Curtis could win, but I thought Curtis was a step toward getting us to a party of principle, which we did with Goldwater and we did in New York before with Buckley.
And these guys clearly don't have courage in their convictions. If they're not willing to defend what they believe, let's say he does have disagreements with you. If he truly has courage in his conviction and can stand by that and have confidence in what you believe in, get on the damn show, speak your mind, tell us why you're right and why the mayor is wrong.
If you convince me, I even changed my mind.
Right. And isn't that the job of these guys? No, they, like you said, Mayor, they're only interested in re-election. They cower in fear if they ever feel like they might be in a situation that if they don't, if they don't handle it right, they could lose a few votes. Well, that's no way to lead. That's not a leader.
Well,
that's a follower.
The whole institution has become so corrupt and toxic that it's almost impossible to clean at this point.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
As our
Good
economy,
luck
as
on
our
the Hill.
economy has experienced broad-based growth, real federal welfare spending has soared by 765%, more than twice as fast as total federal spending. So we spend twice as much more money on welfare now than we do on defense, education. We spend twice as much money on people not working as we do on all the people that are paying taxes and working.
Was that the growth rate you mean for the welfare? Yeah, that's atrocious. I can't believe that.
Well, that money simply doled out evenly. This is Phil Graham and John Early doing this analysis. When that money simply doled out evenly to the 19.8 million families the government defines as poor, each household would receive more than $70,000 a year. But it doesn't get doled out equally because a lot of that money is going to Congressman Uberduper's money, his account. And then when he dies, you say to yourself, Congressman Uberduper was in Congress for 35 years and he's worth $35 million. Gee, I wonder how that
And a bunch of his annoying friends are worth 30 million too.
Yeah,
So it's like,
who took care of the rest of it?
Yeah.
The family income at 64. Right now, you can get all this stuff if you have an income of 64,128,000. You can also go up to as much as 100,000 and still get health care benefits.
Oh, higher than that.
And also, you can refuse your employees' benefits for the federal benefits because it might save you a little money, which means that you and I have to pay for it rather than the employer. The unjust system also penalizes work. Unsurprisingly, the percentage of work-age person in the bottom 20% of income who in fact work has in the last 50 years fallen from, listen to this, this is a hard statistic to gather, but it's a really important one to understand. This unjust system also penalizes work. Unsurprisingly, the percentage of work age person in the bottom 20% of income who in fact work in the last 50 years has fallen from 68% to 36%. Now, what that means is that used to be that 68% of people who we would describe as poor, not the way India describes them as poor, not the way China describes them, but the way we describe them as poor, which is fair enough. But 68% of them were trying. Now we're down to 36%. They don't want to, they're somehow they're putting together enough for themselves and their family so they don't have to work. And you remember the stories during the pandemic that people were making more by not working than working. That's when you turned to, when we made the switch to communism.
Well, it just gives everyone a sense of just total unfairness, right? Like when you see someone stealing like that.
Yeah, well, we spend 34% more on welfare. We spend 20% on our defense of our country and 34% on taking care of people who don't work. How long are we going to exist that way?
That's what
There's
I'm
Russia
thinking.
and China and who knows who else? India,
Right.
coming along. We've got to become a country of tough people again. Strong, tough, independent. We can take care of ourselves. We can protect ourselves. We can protect our children. We can live up to the promise Churchill made to Hitler. You want to take England, you're going to have to kill every single one of us. Now, it sounds like 54% have give in.
Well, we're grooming sheep in our public schools and in the media, and they want to take them even earlier and earlier and indoctrinate them.
Well, that's Marx. That whole thing from I saw that a couple of days ago. Mondami, the communist, had a thing about how they want to do like early education at 2 years old. Only communists want to do early education at 2 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So because they can get them away from the parent who's going to teach them to think about themselves. The big battle with communism and socialism is if you think about yourself, and I mean in a loving way, in the right way, you're going to reject that. But if you don't, if they can brainwash you, well, they got you. They got you. You know, think of it this way. Whenever you go on an airplane, remember, and then they tell you when the thing comes down, the first thing you should do is put that thing on yourself. Because if you don't, you're not going to help the guy next to you because you're going to die.
Oh,
Well,
such a useful lesson in every part of
And
life.
you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of yourself physically, mentally. You got to take care of yourself financially. And then you can have the great feeling. I don't care if you're whatever you do, of being a contributor, not a dependent slob. Now, there are dependent people that have no choice. And that's sad, and that should be taken care of charitably and in a lovely way. But we have spread that way beyond that. And we've used it as a political tool and an organizing tool. And it's terrible. So Europe now feels they have to reboot because they're worried that America is not going to defend them. First of all, good. Good. The more independent and the more they are ready to defend themselves, the easier it will be for us when we have to defend them. We're not going to abandon Europe. And I know Donald Trump, but I know the people around him, and I know what they're doing, and what they're doing is brilliant. But this is good. This is good. This is exactly what you want. You want these people to wake up. Boy, they've been useless for a long time.
Right.
Governor Hochul is in favor of assisted suicide. She's also in favor of killing 8 and 9-month-old babies in the womb. Does that make her a murderer? It would about a couple hundred years ago. In most of the centuries of Anglo-American law or Christian doctrine, this ugly witch would be a murderer.
Well, we have jurisdictions now where if you kill a pregnant woman, it is a double murder.
Well, I mean, New York applauded wildly when they passed a law under Cuomo when she was the lieutenant governor to kill 8 and 9-month-olds.
And it goes further.
They were not only, one might think, if anything, there'd be a little sadness about that. But there was enthusiasm to kill.
The way they
kill
celebrated, it's
to
crazy.
kill these kids. Let's see if we can kill as many of these kids as possible. So we'll end up with less black kids being born.
And they have rallies.
There are more black kids aborted than born.
They have rallies to celebrate these like legislative feats where abortion gets allowed. Isn't that crazy? How can you gather to celebrate that? It should be something to lament. Even if that is your position, you shouldn't like celebrate.
Assisted suicide. What happened to the incredible value of human life on a pedestal? Isn't that where it should be? Shouldn't the incredible value of human life be on a pedestal? And unless you're some arrogant Karl Marx fool, isn't it beyond you to decide whether to take human life unless it's absolutely necessary?
Now, what if in the situation of a terminally ill, immense suffering person, someone who's suffering immensely, terminally ill, do you think they should have that right?
I don't know. I don't want it for me.
So
I never signed any documents. I never signed any. I just have this belief that God decides when I go. I have no control over when I go, and I don't want it, and nobody else should have it. I've done a lot of bad things in my life. One of the things that I'm very proud of, I've never killed anybody. Yeah. And I think human life is extraordinarily valuable. It isn't in my domain. If it has to be put in my domain, then I'll do it. I'll take the responsibility for it. I guess I did try 2 cases with an execution. They were Nazis. But I was very comfortable with that after, 12,000 and 20,000 people killed. Right. But you have to have humility about making choices about life and death. And when you set up a law about assisted dying and assisted, I think that's beyond the law.
Well, that's where just incentives create.
If you have to suffer, I guess maybe this is my Catholic background. If you have to suffer, you have to suffer. Suffering is part of life. I mean, if you're a tough enough human being or a good enough human being or a complete enough human being or a solid enough human being, you'll be able to absorb the suffering.
Now, what do you think if someone's about to get captured and tortured, do you think that it's humane to end that person's suffering?
I don't even know what that means.
Kill them? The Iranians the Iranians are going to take somebody. The Iranians are going to take one of the MEK people who we love and know, and they're going to kill them because they do.
And worse.
Should we kill them?
Yes.
No.
Okay, that's what.
Let them have to live what it is God has ordained for them. And
there's a lot of ifs and buts. I mean, right? There's reasons to try and negotiate for their return.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being a fool. I'd rather find out if I could take it.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely, but the old.
But I'm kind of old now, so it's
tail
easier to say that when you're old.
Is it true that some spies are given those little cyanide tablets or something that they're told to take if they're captured?
If a person on his, I'm not in favor of suicide. I've successfully talked 2 people out of suicide.
And if you're thinking about this, seek help.
And I
because-
never, and then I had one where I wasn't there on time. I've always regretted it because I've always thought I could talk you out of suicide, but I'm a very arrogant person. My uncle took 3 people down from the Brooklyn Bridge and talked them out of suicide. I think you can talk people out of suicide. I think so. If you can just get to them. I don't think suicide is right. I don't think it's my life. I didn't create my life. You might be able to say, well, you don't know how my life was created, right? I believe how my life was created. But my mother and my father, right, had it. But you don't know spiritually and existentially how was my life created. So who has the responsibility over my life? Now, I didn't create myself. I didn't put myself here. My mother and father put me here. And I believe under the guidance of the Creator. So and I do believe respect for human life and adherence to the most humane principles about human life exists if we feel this tremendous just impossibility to take it unless it's the worst possible circumstances. The more incentives not to take human life, the better. The more incentives to take human life, the worst. And Hochul, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't even understand it because you're so effing stupid. And how they made you governor, I don't know. Would they pay you for that damn stadium and get rid of you? You're ruining the state. New York is going to disappear between you and the communists in New York. The city's going to disappear. Would you please let them take the oil and gas out of the ground so they can make money instead of starve in upstate New York? What's wrong with you? You're a freak? Well, we'll see. We got an election coming up next year. The Congress passed a bill, very narrow, to protect trans children from being mutilated. One would think you'd pass this on a big vote. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, of course, has become a rather strange, hard for me to analyze her, but she passed it. So, Marjorie, on your way out, thank you. It's a beautiful thing to pass. Protect our children from being mutilated by these animals, okay? Thank you.
Was it MTG's bill?
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, right on.
Only passed the House.
Oh, okay.
Hasn't passed the stupid Senate yet.
But that might not be.
Who knows what the Senate's going to do? It criminalizes transgender treatments, such as surgeries and hormone therapies on minors, with exceptions for rare medical conditions. We'll have to see what those are. Now, I didn't know about this until the horrible assassination of Charlie Kirk. That's become controversial for all the wrong reasons because of Candace Owens. And I'm going to lay it right on her. I mean, this is ridiculous what she did. But in any event, in New York College, which I happen to know it because it's New York, State University of New York at Plattsburgh, has established a Platts for club. This is people who can be furries in college. So they can go around in the college. They can be dressed up like, like this here. So I'm thinking, like when I was back in Manhattan College with the Christian Brothers, right? Suppose I walked in one day dressed like that. That'd be the last day I walked in there. Right. I'd have been knocked on my ass. I'd have been told, if you really want to be like that, we got a doctor that would be very nice. If you actually think you're a fox, that's called schizophrenia. Yeah, the medical definition of schizophrenia, make it real simple, is when you think you're something you're not. Like I think I'm George Washington. I'm George Washington. I'm a fox. I'm a lion. I'm a female. Called schizophrenia. See, it's not real. Your mind has gone FO. You're not in touch with reality. Like, to be a sensible, sane human being, you got to be in touch with reality, the reality. I'm a man. See, I'm a man. This is, God made me this way.
A real man. I feel like we're living in a cartoon sometimes.
But it could be a lot of complications to being a man. I got to deal with that. I'm a man. Right? I can't pretend I'm Mary Lincoln. I'll go around in a dress pretending I'm Mary Lincoln. Well, okay, get me a doctor. Let me sit down once a week and see if you can effing figure me out. But they're putting this on the campus, Ted. Big bunny on campus. Let's see what we can do. This is a state campus under Hochul Pochul moron. So they have this elsewhere too, you know. You want to know where? You want to pick a couple states? Minnesota, California. But this will get you. So you got New York, California, and Minnesota. How about University of Tennessee, Knoxville? You and I have to go there and have a program there and find out who the hell are these furries and embarrass them out of it. So New York apparently is one of the worst offenders in giving licenses to illegals who don't know how to drive. From the time that this happened in Ohio under the make-believe traitor Republican governor of Ohio, I never understood how you give driver's licenses to illegals, don't give them driver's tests. Why would an illegal not be required to take a driver's test? I mean, I don't understand, but I see all of the perversions that you do for illegals, right? So you let them get welfare, and you let them get credit cards, and you let them get bank accounts, and you let them get jobs, and you let them have the Catholic charities save them and keep them in their little places where they think they're helping Catholics, but then when they get out, they rape the Catholics in the diocese or the parish, and the priests don't seem to wake up, Father. But in any event, what are you doing? I mean, this is just simple logic. I don't care if you're an illegal, a legal, a not so legal. If you want to drive a big truck, don't you have to prove you're able to do that? Suppose you walk in blind. Do they give it to you? I mean, I'm from Trinidad. Give me my license. But you can't see. Give me my license. But you can't see. Give me my license. Right. Do we give him license?
Apparently, right now we do. Apparently, that's what we're doing.
Now, so this is a Chinese guy who was charged in a deadly tour bus wreck on a Tennessee highway. He had entered the U.S. illegally, but was issued a commercial driver's license by New York State. Huang Hisong, 54, crossed the U.S.-Mexican border in 2023. Who was president in 2023? Joseph the Traitor Biden, and was released under the Traitor's administration policies, eventually ending up in my home of Brooklyn, New York, and staggering a license from the state without any apparent demonstration that he could drive or knew the rules of the road or understood English. Now, I would think you would do this if you like getting people killed. If you said to yourself, Gee, I'd love to put this jackass on the road who doesn't know how to drive, can't read English, doesn't understand signs. Let me see, I can get a couple of people killed. I'll be so happy. Far too many innocent Americans have been killed by illegal aliens driving semi-trucks and big rigs, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told the Post. And yet sanctuary states around the country have been issuing illegal aliens commercial driver's licenses. You don't understand. They issue it to them without testing them.
Mayor Giuliani, we have breaking news.
Yes.
Shooter in Salem, New Hampshire at Brown University, he killed himself.
And who is he?
They won't say his name, but I feel like there's going to be a presser coming up. But they found in his storage unit with a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
We're pretty
this
sure
is
he's
according,
the one.
according to,
So
yeah, we want to make
breaking
sure.
news brought to us by the incomparable Dr. Maria is that the shooter in
Salem.
the one
Salem, New Hampshire.
in Salem, New Hampshire.
Suspected in Brown University and maybe MIT.
We think
So
he
we
may
don't
be
know
both.
if, well,
he's suspected in both.
it could be both.
And now he committed suicide.
Yes, they've been going very slow. They had his rental car outside of the storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire, and they've been clearing the building. They finally got to his storage unit, and they found him dead.
Yeah, it would have been better if they could have caught him without him killing himself. But I don't want to say anything. I just
I
think
want to know more.
Their whole investigation was like, wow. We got to do better than that if we're going to save ourselves. So this truck driver who got a license started driving around and he killed people. I mean, on what basis do we do this? I mean, how do we? If you're a Democrat, crazy Democrat, I don't know, like one of those morons we see in Congress, like Shifty Schiff, and a guy walks in and he's from China, he doesn't understand English, and he doesn't read English. Don't you make him take some kind of test about signs and stuff?
You would think.
Yeah, how can
and
you?
even if you're going to let him stay here, you don't let him drive. I mean, why the hell do we let him stay here in the first place? I don't understand. So he can steal our secrets. But I know because like somebody like Shifty Schiff, what does he give a shit? I mean, he's against America.
Right.
Well, let's see if we can catch up on what the good doctor told us. That sounds like quite interesting news, huh?
Yep. The Brown University shooting suspect has been found dead, according to Fox News, of a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire. Something we've been following all hour.
As they say in Brooklyn, any pictures?
We're working on that now.
Okay, we're looking for pictures. That's spelled with a P-I-T, not a C. The U.S. is blockading Venezuela. We've cut off another $8 billion in cargo. Come on, would you get the hell? Just get out of there. Just go. Go so we can make Venezuela into an ally of the United States. That's the whole purpose here. We don't want allies of China in the Western Hemisphere. Okay, you got it?
Okay, so are you seeing the screen right now? It's already surrounded the storage
So
facility.
we're looking at Salem, New Hampshire now.
Yes, sir. And they surrounded.
This coward killed himself. So we can't question him, huh?
That's our understanding.
And now I'm still confused. Are they linked? The MIT shooting?
We don't know. I don't think we know that. I think they're starting to think they are, but I don't think we have any solid proof of that.
I think that's the human instincts in
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
is
I
to
don't know.
think
I don't
they're
know that.
linked.
I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true.
I think almost if you're just looking empirically, it's probably more likely that they're not linked.
It seems like a strange link to me.
Well, the thing is
They are far apart.
they're in that area, but they're both academia, right?
So I guess there's a.
But I mean, there's a lot of people out there and a lot of different conflicts and issues. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd like to know.
This is
If
not
anyone
very
knows.
helpful. We got any reports on it, Ted?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So,
What? Wait, is this? So is this the bigger guy then? Like, what is the? Do we have a?
well, we don't know. We don't know if this is. We don't know if this is the guy who killed the students, or this is the guy who killed the professor, or both. Right?
Yeah, which one is he a more proximate suspect of? Because they obviously have this guy for a reason. Which one is he?
I don't think they're telling us. They're calling him the Brown University shooting suspect. Has been found dead of self-inflicted gunshot wounds inside a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire. So I think the track on which they got to him was through Brown.
And there's a potential link to.
And then the
MIT.
potential is that he may have been also the guy that did the murder in MIT.
Well, you know, people are going to be watching this one very close, just because it would be too easy and convenient for it to be the same guy. Almost, right?
Yeah, it would be. Wasn't a lot of time for it to be the same guy either. That was a pretty quick turnaround, Ted. Can you get me the times of the two murders? The murder in Providence, and then the murder in Brookline. How many hours went by?
Multiple days.
Was it a day? Was it 2 days?
Multiple days. Yeah, we're getting that right now.
No, maybe a day. It wasn't multiple days. Maybe a day.
Oh yeah, maybe a day.
I don't think it was multiple.
Sorry,
I don't think so. I don't think so, but maybe.
Well, unfortunately, there is a drama series called Murder in Providence. So, you know.
Oh, really? Murder
Yeah.
in Providence?
Murder in Provence. So that's what Google thought I was searching for.
So what we're showing now is just
All we
aerial
see there is
surveillance
the Brown
on site
University
of
shooting
the.
suspect has been found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound
That's,
inside a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire.
Yes, that's us. That's us reporting that on our TV,
But
on our
that's
screen.
So that would say to me that the thing that brought law enforcement to him was an investigation of the killing at Brown, which is why they're identifying him that way. And, and the other is an add-on. The other we don't know.
The Brown University shooting, I take it was 4 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah, and then, of course we had pictures of that, and we have several images of what the guy looked like. Maybe we have identifications of him we don't know about from the students, right? So there'd be far more information about him than the person in Brookline, where the guy walked up to a door, killed the professor, and walked away. There isn't going to be an awful lot of information on him.
Yeah, and so he was found dead at his house on Monday night.
Right. We don't. But and he was.
So we had a.
But
full
he was
Sunday.
he had already been dead for quite some time, because his body was cold and his body was already deteriorating.
Well, that actually might sound like a forensics question that we might just not know at this point with regard to the time of death of that guy.
Yeah. That guy could have been 10 hours.
And that
early.
actually might end up being critical
Yeah.
to the prosecution and the investigation generally.
That just the thing that's missing is hard to see the link between. What's the link between the two? What's the,
If any, and I think again, we might just as humans
link-
be creating this link.
the link
right?
is they happen at approximately the same time in approximately the same area, and appear to be both terrorists. Two terrorist attacks can take place within 100 and something miles without
But
them
see,
being
the thing
connected.
is one of them was a classroom and one of them was like a targeted professor.
That also,
And unless it's a botched job, which always can go,
well, that
can
gets
be-
you that gives you even more of a, it gives you more of an inclination to think they're connected.
Well, I was thinking the other way, right? Like if I'm a guy who shoots up classrooms, am I a guy who shoots up a targeted professor too? Like it's different types of anger. I feel like.
Well, why were you killing the? We think the girl, the young lady, was the target, right? But for some reason, we think the young lady was the target. She was Christian.
Well, we did, but this obviously raises some more questions.
Could it have been the other guy that was the target?
Or could it have just been an outlash of anger?
Or was it meant to throw off authorities shortly before he went up to Boston and killed this nuclear scientist?
Well, we can't ask him now.
I wouldn't do that. If you got to hit that guy, you don't take a detour or kill two other people that you could be interrupted for and shot and killed, and then you never kill the other guy. That's a dumb way to do it. If you're gonna do it, you do it the opposite direction. You kill the professor first, then you go kill them. But you don't want to miss killing the professor if that's the key guy to kill.
Right. So what you're seeing is video footage taken moments ago, armed law enforcement entering the storage facility where, again, Fox first reported that the suspect in the Brown University shooting has been found deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside said storage facility. Law enforcement took some time to enter the facility due to concerns of potential booby traps, explosive devices inside. So video surveillance footage had shown this individual entering the storage facility, but not exiting. So law enforcement arrived on scene, secured the premise, must have checked for explosives and booby traps, and then made their way inside, where his body has been found deceased of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Interesting how they found out that he was there, right?
Well, and how they got confirmation. And actually, I still feel like we almost need to still get confirmation that this is in fact the suspect. They got the right guy.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's one of them, right?
Well, I think I want to wait. I want to hear what they say. Have they scheduled anything for press conference?
They do very little talking because at the very beginning they were wrong, and they're very uptight.
Oh yeah, actually, I was very unimpressed.
Remember they arrested the wrong guy, and whenever you do that in your local law enforcement, you get very uptight. Ooh.
Right.
And by the way, it happens all the time. You shouldn't be all that uptight about it.
Right.
You arrest the wrong person all the time at first.
Hopefully
It takes a while to get to the right person.
Right.
This isn't, we don't yet have cameras every place.
Right.
I guess, thank God.
Oh my gosh, I agree.
But
this is the sixth day of the manhunt. We've been covering it all week. And throughout the hour, we were putting a lot of updates up online. So folks can kind of look at our X account if you want to get some kind of blow by blow on the lap over the course of the past hour. We've been
when we see what happened, when we see what happened in Sydney, and we see what happened in New York, and we see what's happening in California, and this is we got to come to the conclusion we're at war. And I don't know. I don't have any information that this is Islamic terrorism. I don't, and it may not be. But it doesn't matter. They're at war with us. And until we wake up to the fact that the religion of Islam is a warrior religion, that even the really good, nice, sweet, lovely Islamics have not properly rejected, we're going to face this forever. And it's about time we make our stand. They can't live in a civilized world with this large number of Islamics embracing what was in fact the actual words of Muhammad. So you got to give him up as a prophet. He wasn't a prophet. He wasn't a prophet at all. He was a pedophile and a murderer. Only way you have peace is by facing the truth. This way. The truth. When you live on bullshit, you die on it. So let's see what happens. There's a lot yet to figure out about this. Was this the guy who did the killing at the school? Was this the guy who killed the professor? Was it both? Are they connected? Not necessarily. Was it Islamic? We're not sure yet. We know the one in Australia was. We know some of the others were, but was this one? We don't know yet. But we'll find out. And we'll be back with you tomorrow. So you keep watching. There'll probably be an answer sometime tonight. Although I have to say, they're very slow. And I'm not necessarily faulting them for that. I think this is a question of having screwed it up at the very beginning, so that they're being very careful that they don't make another big mistake. And by the way, their original mistake wasn't all that bad. They shouldn't be because they're not big time operators. They got themselves like overwhelmed by it. I wish I could go and give them a little counseling. Like, forget it. Yeah. It's a mistake everybody makes at the beginning of an investigation. Right. But I think they're very traumatized by it. So let's see what happens.
Well, crazy hour. We've been following it all. I know we covered a lot of other topics. If you check our X account, we were following this all hour.
Crazy hour, crazy week too. Jeez, oh,
crazy week, and it's a week in which maybe we have to dedicate ourselves, which I'm doing, to make sure that I explain to you the danger you're facing and the war that you were in, a war not of your choosing. And that is euphemized and ignored by many, many people. And if it is, we're going to lose a lot, if not everything. So we'll be back with you tomorrow night at 7 on Lindell, at 8 on X. And if we need to be earlier, okay, we'll see what happens. This is perplexing, and it's not easy, but it's the world we live in. So pray for the Jewish people in Israel and America. Pray for people of Iran and people of Ukraine. Pray for the people of America and for our president. And of course, God bless America.
You were smiling in your sleep.
I know the perfect gift for Christmas. Go to Rudy.coffee. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given